making up the top 6. This is how the Leigh side looks then for this evening's game, with Ian Mort at fullback. And it's Steve Maiden, Dave Olstead, Tony Stewart, Nicky Stanton, Stuart Donlan and Ian Watson. In the forwards, Chris Hill, Dave McConnell, Mike Morrison, Dave Armitstead, Adam Rudd and Aaron Smith. And on the bench, Andy Hobson, James Taylor, Jamie Durbin and Lee Wingfield. The coach, Paul Rowley. Now Widnes Vikings go into this game on the back of 2 disappointing defeats, but coach Paul Cullen keeping faith with the side that lost at Whitehaven last week. Los Wildbor at fullback, Gavin Dodd, Richard Varkulis, Stephen Tyra, Paddy Flynn, John Duffy and James Webster. In the forwards, Michael Ostick, Mark Smith, Jim Gannon, Stephen Bannister, Josh Sim, Lee Patterson. And on the bench, Anthony Thackeray, Lee Doran, Ben Kavanagh and Sam Thompson. And the coach is Paul Cullen. Well, as mentioned, the Widnes Vikings hoping for an improvement in form after that disappointment at Whitehaven last Thursday. Paul Cullen keeping faith with the same side and really, I think, Terry, hoping for a reaction.
I think it's in the likes of James Webster. James Webster's come out in the press this week and said Widnes need to be stronger, more composed. It's a tough division this year and reputation does not win your matches. They're playing against the Leigh side who beat them. Dave McConnell broke through on the last minute to set up Ian Mort, who converted that try. I think that this is going to be an absolute tremendous game, very slippy. This is going to be a game of who can compose the nerves the most.
There is Webster, a hat-trick in the space of 15 minutes at Whitehaven last Thursday. Not enough to win the game for his side, and that's, of course, one of the back-to-back defeats that Widnes have suffered. Mind you, Leigh aren't in great shapes either. They've just won one of their last 4 games, and they too could do with a bit of a lift. And interestingly, since we last saw them on Sky, there has been a change with Neil Kelly moving to become director of football and Paul Rowley taking over as head coach. And what do you make of that?
I think Paul Rowley obviously knows the system, he knows the club well, and Neil Kelly, who spent some time in rugby union for the last couple of years, probably needed some time to get to know the ethos of this club. And I think Paul Rowley is ingrained in Leigh rugby and he will take this side forward.
Both of these clubs, if you want to get there in the grand final, say Stuart Donald leading the side out, if both of these teams want to give themselves a chance for playing in the grand final come the end of the year, they've got to start picking up the 3 points, and tonight's the night for both of these sides.
Yes, and if Widnes look at that table, they have played more games than anybody else. They've played 9, where most around them have played 7. And the early season form that got them their points seems to have deserted them just at the moment. So they're in need of a lift here. Gareth Ewer keeping a link with Whitehaven, the Cumbrian referee, in charge of this one tonight. And it'll be Leigh Centurions who'll get us underway. And there is the new head coach, Paul Rowley, very much part of the furniture here at the Leigh Club, Paul Rowley. So long associated with them.
Yeah, let's go.
And he'll be hoping that this side can follow up on the victory they had last time out, which was a narrow one at Batley. And Leigh, in fact, have had a bit of time off since then, while Widnes were in action at Whitehaven. Leigh were putting their feet up, so they're refreshed after that. Whether that will be an advantage, we will wait and see. Another significant factor was that while we've been here this afternoon, this pitch has been heavily watered by the ground staff. Not a sight that you normally see ahead of a rugby league fixture. Of course, this a shared facility, and soccer played on it as well when you do see that used, so that the ball will zip around the pitch. Now, whether the players are going to appreciate that, I don't know.
I was on the pitch just before the game, Bill, and it is very slippy. The grass is very lush. Teams are going to want to play a percentage sort of football, and Widnes, they've conceded. They've only made 20 yards in that set of 6. This is where that you want to play the game. This is how will Widnes defend this set of 6.
Stanton it was fielding that kick from Duffy to bring it back, and here's a man with a point to prove. Mike Morrison taking that ball up for the Leigh Centurions. Once a Widnes Viking.
Tackle 3, move.
There he is, and we'll be looking for a big game this evening. Leigh in possession. McConnell.
Move. Go.
And here is Aaron Smith. Smith takes the ball in. He's tackled by Gannon. That's the fifth tackle. The ball is back with Watson, and Watson hoists that one. Immediately a tester for Los Wildbohr. The chasers were there, but Wildbohr did well to take it, but was then bundled over his own try line, and Widnes forced to concede the goal line drop.
He did excellent here, Los Wildbohr. He couldn't take his eyes off that ball, or he would have dropped it. Just watch that.
Okay.
He's aware that the line is somewhere behind him, but he can't afford not to look at the ball.
Stay outside.
Wildbohr then. And that's a good dropout, and it's driven back towards that defence by Morrison. So Leigh immediately back on the attack. Maiden makes a few yards for his side now, Steve Maiden.
Wait. Go.
In his second spell at the club. And there's Armitstead. Took a while to register that was Dave Armitstead. He's had his flowing locks shaved off. Gone for the slimline approach, and here comes Leigh on the attack with Dave Olstead.
Wait. Go.
Olstead is tackled. Watson. Morrison gets the ball and the Widnes defenders at exactly the same time.
Go.
Here's Watson once more. Little kick stabbed through, and Los Wildbohr has the confidence to watch that one go dead. Stuart Donlan was chasing it for all he's worth, but clattered into the advertising hoardings.
Do you know, I'm really surprised Ian Watson chose to pass that ball unless they've got a specific tactic of working a kick-off two pass, because Ian Watson's one of the best kickers I ever played with or against.
So Widnes with ball in hand for the first time in a while.
Hold. I don't know. Let's go.
And they'll be looking to get out of their own half for the first time since the kick-off.
Ian Watson, 10 metres. Go.
Patterson plays that ball. Ostick.
That's 4. Movement. Wait.
He's tackled just inside his own half. And here is Webster. Webster drills a little kick upfield. And Ian Mort, the Centurions full-back there, and Webster leading the chase. Mort takes him on and makes a few yards at Webster's expense. Josh Sim there to help with the tackling.
This is the first time that Widnes have been down in Leigh's territory trying to defend. But you'll see how tight Widnes are really defending. They're challenging Leigh to take the ball outside of them. Or if they don't take it outside, they've got to take it through the big guys like Jim Gannon, like Mark Smith, Michael Austin. I'm sure the forwards from Widnes will be looking for a big improvement on last week's performance.
Aaron Smith now is tackled just inside the Widnes half. McConnell shaped to go down the short side, then links up with Chris Hill, and Chris Hill making a dent in the Vikings defence, but that's the fifth tackle. Now then, Watson this time, a kick over the top into no man's land, but Wildbohr assured as usual across to field that ball, but that's a good chase from the Centurions. There to greet him.
Los Wildbohr always brings the ball back with conviction. He runs as hard as he can, but a good chase. Every time Leigh have kicked the ball, there's been 4 or 5 guys putting pressure on that guy, Los Wildbohr.
Varkulis was dumped and then barreled over in the tackle. The Viking supporters not liking that, appealing to referee Hewer for a penalty. Off goes Duffy now. Duffy links up with Ostick.
4. Aaron, move. Let's go.
Mark Smith now, and Smith darting run from him, and great work from Smith. He's got support from Patterson, gives the ball for Patterson, but Patterson brought down by Donlan. Donlan clinging on to him, could have been risking the penalty there. Quick play the ball as it was. Duffy, little kick over the top. Flynn is chasing it, Flynn's still chasing it, and Stanton has to shovel that ball dead. Great work from Widnes on the attack there.
All that passage of play came from Michael Ostick, taking a pass, jamming the ball down and playing it as quick as he can. Mark Smith, who's in your picture now, just picks it up from acting half, and the composure that Widnes need to show will allow Duffy to put kicks like this in all night.
Time off. Ian, come on.
So,
Time on.
goal line dropout forced by Paul Cullen's Widnes side. And fielded on the halfway by Wildbohr, and then handed to that man Ostick again. Has shown up well this season, Michael Ostick. He's been ever present for the Vikings so far, this young man.
Go.
No, he's not such a young man. Jim Gannon. Gannon offloading that ball to Mark Smith.
Movement.
He's another standout performer for the Widnes side.
That's Jim Gannon, yeah. Does what it says on the lid, doesn't it, with Jim Gannon? Widnes. Tackle on the 20.
Go.
Here is Webster now. Duffy cannons off the first defender and gets the ball away to Wildboar. Wildboar taking him on himself. Wildboar, good hands to Flynn. Flynn to Varkulis. Varkulis bouncing off the first, gets the pass away, and Flynn has to backtrack to gather it. And he spotted a knock-on as referee Hewer.
He's lost that ball, but credit Dave McConnell for putting pressure on Paddy Flynn.
It's clear to me.
Paddy Flynn not happy with the pass. He's having a little talk to the touch judge. I wasn't aware, but McConnell was first to react, really. Tough decision on that angle.
There was a fumble, definitely. If you just watch it on the replay, I think it hits the ground, and you know, the composure that we talked about, though, Widnes can't afford to be flinging balls here, there and everywhere. They need to play that percentage. I think last week that's what let them down, trying to score on every set of 6.
So Leigh back in possession, and Steve Maiden plays the ball on his own 40-metre line. Watson stretching for that pass, and the hands
Tackle 4, move. We are, Mark.
from Morrison.
Go.
Now here's Chris Hill.
Tackle 5.
That's the 5th tackle.
Go.
Hill plays the ball, and Ian Watson will put the kick in. He was just outside his own 40, and again Wildboar in the right place to field that ball. And Gavin Dodd, first touch for the winger. Gavin Dodd continuing in place of the injured Dean Gaskell. Gaskell, I understand, has had another specialist report on his fractured cheekbone today. He's got a fractured cheekbone and a damaged eye socket as well, so he's going to be absent for some time. Gavin Dodd could be filling that position for a while. Of course, Danny Mills has been allowed to go to back to Sheffield on loan.
Go.
Widnes
That's 4.
with Ostick.
Yeah, Dave. This for me. Where's the foot? Go.
Here's Duffy now.
That's 5.
That's the 5th tackle. Just over the halfway line, Widnes are. And it's Mark Smith with a little chip kick, and Chris Smith was there to just make his presence felt.
That's a lovely little kick. I love to see hookers come away from dummy half, put the kick in, everybody's onside, chase hard and strong, and meet that with good defence. Gannon and Webster doing.
Stanton it was, then Mort. And Ian Mort driven back towards his own 20.
Second. Move. Hold. Go.
So Widnes really trying to put the pressure on this Leigh side now, trying to force the mistake, and Leigh maybe feeling the pressure a little bit, haven't been able to get up the other end of the field. Here is Chris Hill now. Hill, Ostick there, Gannon as well.
That's 4. Move. Stay. Go.
4 tackles gone, and Watson will try for the 40-20. Well, he was inside his own 40, but just got a bit too much loft on that, and Gavin Dodd brings the ball back. And that was a high shot, I think.
The back three are so important in any game of rugby league. You need that first hit up. What Gavin Dodd does with his commitment when he's running the ball in strong, he asks questions, and McConnell has to put his body on the line, jumps ever so slightly, and gives away a high tackle.
First penalty of the game after 9 minutes, and it goes the way of the Widnes Vikings. And really, after that pumped up start from Leigh Centurions, it's been pretty good going for Widnes. But yet to really threaten the Leigh Centurions line. Certainly dominating possession, the Vikings. They're in possession now. Once more with Ostick.
Tony, move. Go.
Plays the ball. Duffy, little short pass to Wildboar. Forward cry the Leigh Centurion supporters.
Let's go.
Nothing doing from the referee. Webster on for Duffy. Duffy, little kick over the top and intercepted.
Widnes seem to be really targeting the first 3 or 4 players around the ruck, trying to suck the Leigh defenders in, then playing with width. It's good defence by John Duffy. He's like a little terrier.
Still going.
Still wrestling match going on there. Webster and Olstead eventually untangle themselves, and the ball is now in the hands of Chris Hill. Some pretty vigorous defending going in there.
And you know, because the way the weather is and the pitch is slippy, the guys, especially the big guys, are going to want early ball. They're not going to want it right at the line when there's defenders in front of them. They want to catch the ball early, pick out where they're going to run, and run as hard as they can and try and break through that defence.
Here's Dave Armitstead now, former Barrow Raider. And Watson with a kick downfield. into the arms of Wild Boar. Of course, Barrow Raiders involved in one of the big championship games of the weekend. They have a tough trip ahead of them, off to Toulouse this weekend, Dave Clark's boys, and anticipating quite a game there, I know.
Second, move, hold,
Widnes
go.
in possession with Gavin Dodd.
Third, move, hold, go.
Still no score here, and both these sides slugging it out mainly in the middle of the field. Gannon gets the ball out of the tackle somehow. Wild Boar under the first tackle. Lovely little offload to Webster. Pirouette from Webster. Smith shapes to kick, gets the ball to Barkulis. Barkulis now using his strength again. Was looking maybe for Flynn to come back on the inside. Webster now to Duffy. Long ball out wide, and they're in the corner with Gavin Dodd. First try of the game comes to the Widnes Vikings, and the Irish international Gavin Dodd gets his 6th try of the season, and that was great work from the Vikings. Took it from right to left and found the room in the corner, and Gavin Dodd in virtually unopposed.
A lot of movement from the Widnes side, more confident start. This is what Mark Smith and the likes James Webster taking the ball to the line. Players pushing up in support. Richard Barkulis gets the ball out. Tony Stewart does ever so well to bring him down. Nick Stanton comes in, makes sure that tackle's complete, but the ball spun really wide, and it's Dave Alsted who flies out the line. He looks for the interception. There he goes, he picks the wrong man, Steve Tyler. It's just a simple 2-on-1, and Gavin Dodd goes in the corner for the try for the Widnes Vikings.
So as I said, Gavin Dodd in the side because of the injury to Dean Gaskell, and that's the way to retain your place. And Stephen Tyra, his first opportunity of the night. Tyra on loan at the Widnes Vikings for a month from the Celtic Crusaders. Initially for a month, anyway, it might turn out to be longer. But this a tricky kick for him, and it hasn't quite got the legs. But Widnes Vikings, and early score was important for them, and they are ahead here by 4 points to 0.
And in the game of rugby league, we talk about that magic arm wrestle, we talk about breaking a side down, and you feel if both of these sides can keep their composure and work towards those kicks and look to pressure teams, then there's always going to be a person that will make that rush decision in defence, causing a break in the defensive line. And people like Gavin Dodd don't need a second chance.
So that's exactly the early opportunity that Widnes wanted. It wasn't that early, had to probe for it a while, and they did well to work the opportunity. They are ahead by 4 points to 0. And they're in possession again with Jim Gannon.
Tackle 3, hands out.
And Leigh Centurions with a bit of a bogey at the moment on this ground. They have yet to win on their new pitch in the Cooperative Championship so far this year. So they'll be hoping to turn that over this evening. But at the moment, it's the Widnes Vikings are making all the running. And Paul Rowley's side with a bit of work to do to try and wrestle the grip on this game from the Vikings. It's another good kick.
Another very good kick from Mark Smith. And again, Ian Mort looks up, and what does he see in front of him? A green line. You kick chase, that's what wins you the game. Your discipline as well. When you get down there, you can't afford to give silly penalties away.
Is it green?
I was just going to say, is it green or yellow?
Green.
It's like lime green.
It's high-vis vests. You've done a deal with a high-vis vest company.
Tackle 3.
I think it's a nice colour anyway, I need that.
Well, it's Leigh Centurions, definitely in red and white,
Let's clear up.
in possession
Go.
for the first time for some time. And here's Armitstead, and Armitstead, Gannon went looking for him. Armitstead just managed to avoid that challenge, but still went down. Watson again kicking from deep. And an indication of the pressure that Leigh are feeling at the moment.
He had to kick from deep as well. It was an excellent defensive set from Widnes. Really limited what yardage the Leigh side could make. And again, this back three with a chance to get Widnes on the front foot.
Here comes Gavin Dodd, and Dodd is tackled. Now Flynn, this young winger,
Tackle 3.
He's made such an impression this season.
Go.
It makes it so much easier for the guys like Michael Ostick and Jim Gannon. When you wingers and when you fullback return the ball like that, Jim Gannon now again following up from the good work that the wingers and Paddy Flynn and Gavin Dodd have started this game really strong.
They're running it on the last. That looked forward. It was. Well, that's the first blot on the copybook from the Widnes Vikings this evening. The pass from Duffy was forward.
Doing a very good Dan Marino impression then, Stuart Duffy.
You're getting old.
John Duffy even.
First, let's move.
Just drifting forward, that pass aimed for Tyra. Trying to run it on the last tackle. Chris Hill now.
Second.
Ostick was all over him.
Hold. Go.
Andy Hobson into it and immediately driven back in the tackle.
Go.
Armitstead. Oh, and then the ball's gone to ground. It was Stuart Donlan who went without it.
Stuart, hand out.
And Widnes have it back. Mistake from the Leigh Centurions captain. Here goes Paddy Flynn.
And that just goes to show you've got to concentrate all the time.
Wait.
Donlan just had a little look up, seeing where James Webster was in front of him. I think that was the guy that he was going to try and attack. Well, again, giving up the ball, and Widnes now attacking in Leigh's half.
Go.
Duffy. Patterson. Ostick
Surrender.
in the middle of the field.
Move 3.
And Mark Smith. Here is Jim Gannon. And the big guys doing plenty of work
Andy, move.
for this Widnes Viking side. Gannon, Ostick, Patterson, all getting through their fair share. And Smith ducks under the first tackle. He's got support from Webster, and Webster will continue his scoring spree. A hat-trick last week, on target again this evening, James Webster. And the Widnes Vikings, well, their coach, Paul Cullen, was looking for an improved performance. And he's certainly got it early on here, because James Webster on the shoulder of his partner, Mark Smith there, in to claim his 6th try of the season.
Here's the mistake by Stuart Donlan to give Widnes the ball and the field position in their half. But Jim Gannon done all the hard work. He attracted 3 defenders, and Mark Smith got out and done what he does well. He scooted from dummy half. He knew that James Webster was there. Andy Hobson is slow on retreat. James Webster knew exactly what Mark Smith was going to do and backed up on his right-hand shoulder. That's better play from the Widnes Vikings.
That's 5 tries in the last 4 games for James Webster. He's certainly found his form. And Stephen Tyra will be hoping to find his form with the boot. Missed with his first opportunity, but this one a lot more kickable for him. The other end of the ground, the Widnes Viking supporters rising to salute their team, and they salute that successful conversion from Tyra. And Widnes Vikings ahead by 10 points to 0 now.
You virtually felt from the kickoff that Widnes were going to target that middle bit of the pitch, middle bit of the players. Really, they were going to work over the Chris Hills, the Mike Morrison, the Dave Armisteads. They were going to look to expose them. Simon Knox on the left of your picture. He's an old warhorse. He knows what's needed now for this Leigh side.
Well, some possession up the other end of the field would be a good start, because really they've been on the back foot since about 5th minute of this game. And Widnes really have responded to their coach's appeal for a response to last Thursday's disappointment in Whitehaven. Penalty conceded by Leigh.
And that's what gives the field position up. You've got to control the ball, but you've got to control your emotions as well. You cannot give penalties away. They've given that penalty away. Widnes are now attacking in the Leigh's 40.
To be fair, I think it's a little bit harsh. Nevertheless, these are the things that when they go against you, you need to meet them with steel, with metal. Not let your heads drop, and try to stop that rot. Try to stop that down spiral.
But it's Widnes on the attack again.
Hold. Go.
Smith. It's Patterson.
3rd tackle movement.
3 tackles gone.
Go.
Here's John Duffy. Duffy shaped for the ball back on his inside to Ostick, then took him on himself. And they're close to that Leigh Centurions try line again. Webster for Gannon. Gannon fancied it himself. Still might. Inching his way towards that post.
But look at that, he's attracted 5 defenders to him.
Gannon plays the ball. Webster stabs a little kick in. And it's well tidied up by Steve Maiden.
Steve Maiden done ever so well to get out of his in-goal area. There's little James Webster who come up with the contact.
Oh, the
there's the
mistake by
mistake.
Armstead.
And when you're tired and you're defending, you've got to concentrate, you've got to focus on where that ball is. The defender's rushing up in your face. Again, he just had a little look up. Jim Gannon was in front of him, Mark Smith was in front of him. Steve Maiden gets the ball, he gets out of it, he runs over the top of James Webster. But from the next play of the ball, it was Dave Armstead who lost the ball, giving again field position to this Widnes side.
Penalties, knock-ons, Leigh Centurions really are giving Widnes Vikings a helping hand at the moment. Have they done so on this occasion? Here's Ostick.
With me.
Smith, Webster, wild ball. Tyra is tackled and into touch, and that's better defence from Leigh Centurions.
Fantastic defence from Leigh, and I think when we be overcritical on players that drop the ball, maybe we don't give the defence enough credit. Just look at this. You can be harsh on Tyra and say perhaps he should have stayed in the field of play, but let's credit Leigh. They're trying to stop that down spiral.
Well, that's a good effort, isn't it, Barry? When one of your teammates comes up with a blunder on your own line and you turn up for each other and you defend your try line as though your life depends on it.
Widnes very quickly up there and too quickly. And Leigh gets the penalty. A relieving penalty which Ian Watson hammers into touch.
Just a little slow out of the back of the scrum, and the Widnes defensive line not too sure whether to go or stop. And they went at the wrong time. Let's see what Leigh can do with some possession now.
Rudd plays the ball. Here's Armstead. And he is flattened. Bannister in with the tackle to aid Jim Gannon. Here is Hobson now. Just over the halfway line, the Centurions. Watson. Pops that pass up for Olstead. Olstead has got support on the outside. Mort it was on his shoulder.
Great cover defence from Widnes.
But here's Watson. Watson trying to burrow his way over. Almost did. Staggering like a drunken man towards that try line. Olstead again, and Widnes manning the barricades.
The handover, Bill. Widnes have done ever so well. But Leigh managing to get a chink in the armour of Widnes. Over on Widnes's left and Leigh's right. Could it be something to look at again? Good line speed from this Leigh side now. This is where you want your big men to turn up. Take the ball forward. It's Michael Ostick that does it. It's a tough hit up, that one.
Yeah, I'll get him now.
I was going to say, Barry, you want to get the ball to the middle of the park as quick as you can, don't you? So you've got options either side. When you're bringing the ball in away from the corner, it's very, very hard because you know the Leigh defenders are ever so tight. And it's a big challenge to bring that ball away.
They can stack up and give you a clout, and you're quite right. Get near the middle and have a little bit of space between you and them.
Ian Mort so close then to that first try for the Leigh Centurions on the shoulder of that break from Olstead. But that's perked Leigh Centurions up, and Steve Maiden took it to him there. Maiden plays the ball. James Taylor on the charge. Taylor plays that one. McConnell. Donlan. Here is Watson now. Aaron Smith arriving in support, but so too were the defenders. On the last. Armstead stabs a little kick in. Hobson is chasing this. Now then, Hobson got there, but did he get to the ball? He ricocheted off the post.
Can we take the onside offside on the ground, please, Robert?
And Andy Hobson could have got his first of the season.
Well, Bill, he's onside. You can see him there, the number 8. Just chasing up that ball. I think he actually does get this ball down. But good urgency from the beat Leigh front rower. It hits the post. It bounces off. Michael Lustig overruns the ball. Oof. You can't see from that angle. Where's his big hand here?
Oh, I think he's missed that.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough control on that ball, but a real shame. A good positive period from the Leigh players. They've reacted to that bit of adversity. 20 minutes they've been under the cosh.
Robert Hicks is the video ref tonight. What's he going to make of that one? He's awarded the try to Andy Hobson. Is that, in actual fact, his third try of the season? And Hobson adjudged to have got downward pressure on that ball. And it's right underneath the post. Ian Mort with the conversion attempt. And that is just what Leigh Centurions wanted.
That's what Leigh wanted. I don't think it was what Paul Cullen wanted. All the pressure was on the Leigh side. Ian Mort steps back to take this conversion.
So Ian Mort right in front of the post has already landed 40 this season for his side. Make that 41. And Leigh Centurions steady the boats. Get on the scoreboard. It's Leigh 6, Widnes Vikings 10.
Well, Robert Hicks must have thought there was definitely downward pressure. That's why he must have awarded the try. Was there any control?
Let's have another look at this. There's no doubt in the quality of the kick. Just have a look at it again. Well, I disagree with Mr. Hicks. I don't think that's a try, but it's in the paper, as they say. What can Leigh do now?
And here's Armitstead, the man who made that with his little grubber kick. A deceptive kick from this big second row forward. Used to play for the Windsor Wolves in the Jim Beam Cup in Australia, but then came over here and linked up with Barrow. Had a very successful spell with the Barrow Raiders. Was their Player of the Year in 2007 and was last year's National League 2 Player of the Year as well, Dave Armitstead. So a talented ball player. Here is Watson. He was just outside the 40 and that kick took a little ricochet.
That's a terrible kick. I know what he's thinking. As soon as he got on the front foot, he decided to get rid of the ball, and that's an awful kick.
I was going to say that it's interesting. Anthony Thacker has come onto the pitch for the Widnes side. He's gone onto the wing. Gavin Dodd's gone to centre. Can't see who he's gone off injured at the minute. Ben Kavanagh's on. Lee Duran's on. Sam Thompson's on.
Is it Tyra?
Here's Sam Thompson. And Widnes in possession. 4 tackles gone.
To answer your question, Tez, I think Tyra got injured when he got put into touch a couple of minutes ago.
Webster. We'll find out in a moment, in fact. That's the 5th tackle. Josh Sim plays the ball. Here is Webster. Loops it over the top to Duffy. Widnes just a little bit rattled by that try, probably by the decision. Mort very comfortably underneath that one. Well, what is the story behind that Widnes change, Ben?
Steve Tyra is the problem for Widnes, Bill. It didn't help, of course, that he got dumped into touch a few moments ago, but he's been carrying a back injury all week. He's had a tight back again this evening. He's gone for a rub at the moment that hopefully can return in the second half.
Ben Pro with the news from the sidelines.
And he's got a tight back. Gone off with a tight back.
It must be a spasm, Barry.
What are they making him out of these days?
Armitstead plays the ball just on that Widnes 40. Here is Hobson, the try scorer.
The game, he's definitely added to this game. Andy Hobson's been really direct, taking the ball to the Widnes defence.
Watson puts a little kick in. Maiden is chasing this one. Thackeray under pressure. Maiden will run out of room. He's run out of the stadium, in actual fact.
Only just Maiden. He gave himself all the chance. He was brave. He dove. Oh, where's the ball board?
Ian Watson's kick, though, again.
Steve Maiden almost cleaned out a 9-man drumming corps in that corner of the field. They ran for cover as he approached.
I think he actually done that on purpose, yes. Steve Maiden.
I can't say I blame him.
Tackle 3, move!
One drum's bad enough. Eddie thinks one at Warrington's bad enough. He should hear 9 at Leigh. Here's Duffy. Widnes Vikings ahead here. And get the penalty. Adam Rudd penalised, just running too long in the tackle there.
They're just trying to slow Widnes down by keeping it tight in and around that middle. exposing the bigger players. They're trying to bite off that extra couple of seconds.
Here's Lee Doran, former Leigh Centurion.
On the other side.
Plays the ball just outside the 20. Sam Thompson now, this big St Helens forward on loan.
Stay in, stay. Go.
And Widnes on the attack again. Sim.
Tackle through. Let's move.
And that will be a little knock-on, I think, there. It was Ben Kavanagh, I beg his pardon.
Ben Kavanagh trying to get up really quick, didn't grab the ball, didn't have the grip, as you always say, Barry. Had no control of that ball in his urgency to get up and play it. Loses the ball for the Widnes side, but again, Leigh have got to bring the ball up out of their own territory, and that's from giving away that real silly penalty.
But they have showed lots of character. At one point, we're slightly worried that this game might run away from Leigh. Andy Hobson, with his first two actions, gave away a penalty and probably was at fault for the Mark Smith try, but he's had a good positive influence since then.
Bit of a tangle at the base of that Leigh scrum there, and Watson having to rescue the situation for his side.
That's three. Move. Hold.
Aaron Smith plays the ball then on his own 30-metre line.
Fourth. That's the 10. Leigh, come on.
Widnes just trying to pin them down in this half of the field. Taylor gets the ball away.
That's five. Where? Go.
Fifth tackle just inside the Widnes half. The kick over the top, and Flynn and Wildboar deciding discretion, the better part of valour there. Well, this is what happened at that scrum a few moments ago. Whoops, nearly got away from Ian Watson.
Just took the man out.
Good play from the Leigh side. It was just really the direct route. This big forward's got the ball, he stuck it under the arm. All Rowley, they'll be happy with that set of six. They've come from their own 10-yard line, and they now brought the ball down. And Widnes have to bring away the ball from their 10. That was a very good set by the Leigh set of forwards, Barry.
I think probably Leigh have had a look at what's been successful for Widnes, which is low-risk, tight plays, and took a bit of a leaf from there, but...
There's 7 minutes to go in this first half. Widnes ahead by 10 points to 6. It's been the tussle that we anticipated between these two sides. It was a very close game at the Stobart Stadium back at Easter, which Leigh Centurion snatched right at the death, as Terry said, through Ian Mort's deeds with his try and his goal, winning that one 10-8. So Widnes with a bit of a score to settle here, and they are ahead by 10 points to 6 and keeping the ball alive.
I've been very impressed with the ball skills of both sides. Before kick-off, we've mentioned it, there was water in the pitch, and the grass is very long, and I thought that might add to the footing and again the slippiness of the ball. But well done to both sets of players.
Really well done to Loz Wildboar there on the chase from that crossfield kick from Duffy, but then offsides against the Widnes tacklers there, all too keen, and you can see him there to Gareth Hughes left.
All you have to do is just have a little look around where the referee is. I'm sure Gareth Hughes have been watching him all the game. He's talking to the players. It's not as though he's not saying anything. And that's how you run onto the ball, isn't it? You play direct, you play with a bit of speed, and things will come off that.
Watch out for that bloke, Lee Wigfield, the ex-Oldham forward. He can bang them.
Donlan takes the tackle. About 25 metres out, and it's Watson now. Here's Armitstead. Armitstead heading towards the sidelines. That's where Widnes were hoping to take him, but he goes to ground. Here's Rudd now. That's the fifth tackle. And Leigh looking to end this first half with a bit of a flourish. Watson, a little kick into the corner. Thackeray is underneath it. They're in a terrible tangle, and Leigh could well have got the try here with Olstead. It's going to be another decision for video referee Robert Hicks. But there was a real mess between Gavin Dodd, I think it was, and Ashley Thackeray over who was going to claim that ball. Neither of them wanted it, and it was Olstead who capitalised.
A good pinpoint kick. You can see all the Leigh players are onside. Anthony Thackeray, normally a standoff, he's playing on the wing. Gavin Dodd in the centre. The ball comes off Gavin Dodd. This is a try for Dave Olstead. It was a right schmozzle between Thackeray and Gavin Dodd. Got a good kick and good pressure from Ian Watson, who kicked that ball. Gavin Dodd tries to catch the ball, brings it back. He loses possession. Dave Olstead still aware, but his urgency to ground that ball and his focus on where that ball was bouncing. And that's a try for the Leigh side.
Has Dave Olstead got his first try of the season? And video ref Hicks has had a good look at that. The try is awarded, and Leigh are on level terms. And that's better for the coach, Paul Rowley. More like it. His side have responded well. And with 5 minutes to go in this first half, Leigh Centurions level the score through that man, Dave Olstead.
Direct plays in and around the ruck from the big Leigh set forwards. Andy Hobson's really added some impact to this Leigh side. Ian Watson, no pressure put on him whatsoever. Gavin Dodd tries to claim that ball. He loses possession. That's good urgency from Dave Olstead. The focus on the ball, he never took his eyes off where that ball was. He went up, he put pressure on the two Widnes players. He focused where that ball was. And Paul Rowley and Simon Knox look ever so happy for the Leigh side.
So Olstead off the mark this season. It's taken him a while. He was last season's top try scorer for the Leigh Centurions. He got 16 tries in 22 appearances, but he's had to wait for his first of the season. He's got it this evening, courtesy of that tangle by the Widnes Vikings. And now Mort, to put his side ahead, has missed it. And with half-time approaching, it's just as close as anticipated. It's Leigh 10, Widnes Vikings 10.
Again, I'm going to talk about the character that this Leigh side have shown. They've got over to the other end of the pitch, and I mentioned Ian Watson and his ability to put it on a dime when he wants to. And Paul Rowley will realise that if his side get to Widnes' end of the pitch, they can pressure anybody. And Paul Cullen, when he gets in the changing room, will say that to them.
So the restarts. Leigh in possession. No short kick-off tried or anything like that from the Widnes Vikings. It's much too early in this tight game, although they've now conceded a penalty. And Gareth Ewer, loud blast on the whistle, and calls over the Vikings captain Mark Smith.
Sorry? Yeah, I've told him as well. Twice he's been involved. I'll give the penalty next time.
And
we go on the sin bin. We've got to get the grip mark.
Sam Thompson is the culprit. Gareth Ewer saying that's the second time he's been penalised, and the next time he's going to be in the sin bin.
And the disappointing thing for Paul Cullen will be that last week when they played Whitehaven, Whitehaven scored 4 tries from kicks, but it was the penalties that led to that field position. You can't afford to give penalties away in the game of rugby and invite teams down and attack in your half.
Big tackle by Stephen Bannister there, and Rudd felt that. Well taken by Olstead, and Olstead looking for his second try of the season. He's going to get it! What a finish to this first half. I was saying Dave Olstead has had to wait for his first try of the season. He's now got 2 in the space of a few minutes. And Leigh Centurions, from being nowhere, have come back to take the lead as half-time approaches.
And what was I just saying, Bill, about you give penalties away that leads to tries? Whitehaven scored 4 tries on the back of penalties last week from this Widnes side. But you take nothing away. Here's the penalty. Sam Thompson, lead Randy, didn't control that tackle. It's a really poor penalty. It leads them into that field position. Chris Hill turns the ball up. And Ian Watson again probing all the time. He takes the ball to the line. And Dave Olstead was looking for support, but he thought, no, I'm going on my own. And that's a good finish by Dave Olstead. He showed up well this first half, Dave Olstead. Been strong in defence and strong in attack.
Dave Olstead got 2 tries against Widnes last season in a victory over them at Hilton Park. So he has a particular fondness for scoring against the Vikings, and he's done so with great effect in the last 5 minutes of this first half. And they have come from nowhere really to take the lead in this game. Ian Mort looking to extend that. And another tricky kick for him. Mort, the crowd on his shoulder like the look of that, but it just again drifted away But Leigh Centurions 10-0 down, now lead by 14 points to 10.
It's going to be an interesting half-time team talk from Paul Cullen. Paul Rowley will be thrilled to bits, and Paul Cullen, you can see from his expression, every picture paints 1,000 words.
It's not a pretty picture for those Widnes Vikings supporters. The way this game has gone away from them.
If you get numbers,
they look so much in control for the first quarter of the game, certainly.
if you get numbers into the tackle, you've got to dominate. There's 3 Widnes tacklers in that tackle there, but they can't turn the lead player onto his back. That's what you've got to have. You've got to have a bit of whack about you. When you're coming off the line, you've got to concentrate on your first 3 steps and be urgent when you get off there and really try and dislodge that ball. It's slippy conditions, as we said before, Bill.
Here's Chris Hill now. 4 tackles gone.
That's all. Go.
As Leigh play the ball. James Taylor. That's the 5th, and they're in their own 40. Will Watson look for a 40-20 at this stage of the half? No, the clock counting down into the arms of Wild Boar, and Wild Boar will bring it back. Long way to go in this game yet. The hooter sounding to bring the first half to an end, and what a turnaround we have seen here.